pros and cons of buying a new home? Well, we're going to talk about that today in this episode of Real Estate Unlocked. The biggest thing right now is we're seeing is 70% of buyers are looking at new home and buying new. But what they really need to know is there's some pros and cons to buying a brand new home. If you don't know, I'm Jaime Elizalde with La Casa Realty Group, and with me today is Pablo Ildefonso from my team. And Pablo, let's talk about 7 things buyers need to know when considering buying a new home.
All right.
First thing we want to talk about, is brand new better?
Not always.
Yeah, not always. True.
Better is nicer, but sometimes a used one might be a better option for us.
Okay, but let's get into why 70% of buyers today are choosing brand new, right? So what are some of the things, the pros, we can say maybe, of buying new?
All right, so we'll start off with number 1.
Yeah.
All right, so number 1, everything is brand new. The
That's true.
new, right? New cabinets, new doors, new toilets, new bathtub, even new fresh sod in the front yard, right?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what people like about new, is that nobody's ever lived in it, it's not used, you're not having to deal with, are these pipes going to break? Do I need to replace the roof, right? And it's new, it's built to code, it's been inspected various times. Now, let's talk about the con of it being new. What are maybe some of the things you've seen in new home communities that you yourself that live in a resale when you had the option? We're going to get down to why that happened, but what are some of the things that maybe you see in a resale versus a new home?
So what I'm seeing is that I see the rooms are smaller.
Yeah.
The resale rooms are a little bit bigger and they have a little bit more functionality. And in the new constructions, they're built different, a little bit smaller, maybe missing a shelf or even a closet door inside of the room. Okay. So that's what I've been looking at.
So one thing I've seen is that, one, the lots are smaller. Typically in a new build, to make money, right, they've got to make these lots a little bit smaller. Not in every case, but that's something we see. Obviously, with new builds, you have different floor plans. This weekend I showed lots that were 30 foot, 35 foot, and we went all the way up to 50 foot lots. So that 50 foot lot definitely was more spacious. Of course, the client loved that one better, right? But that's one of the things I see. The other thing, now, this can be a very personal thing, new versus used. I had a client who didn't like open concept. They wanted walls. They wanted separation. New homes have open concept, kind of a modern feature, more cleaner, simpler look. Some people don't like that.
Right. So the older resale homes always had everything closed off, like the galley kitchens that we saw at the older homes, or just more hallways, not the open concept that we see now in the new construction.
Yeah. So I think, again, that's a personal thing, right? Resale, you're typically going to have better landscaping, more landscaping, trees, right? With the new homes, you get the dinky 2 little trees, right? Some plants. But again, there's obviously pros and cons to everything. So let's talk about number 2, pros and cons, builder warranties.
So off the bat, when you buy a new home, you have warranty, right?
Yeah.
You have a 1-year bumper to bumper, that's what I call it, from roof to the floor. And then you have your 2-year electrical, and then you have your 10-year structural.
Yeah, now here's something I need to add. So yes, bumper to bumper as long as you or your family doesn't break it. Number 2, the 2-year, and this is a generalization. Some builders are different. 2 years is very typical on your plumbing, HVAC, your AC, your electrical. Now, this is the big change. Many builders are switching from a 10-year warranty on your structure to a 6-year warranty. That is something you need to understand. What this means is foundations. Your foundation is warranted by the builder for up to 10 years. That was industry standard. Now, the state has allowed them to go to 6 years. So some builders are changing to 6, and they're like, oh, that's good enough. And let me tell you, 10 is better. Unfortunately, I think that most are going to go switch to 6 because it's more affordable and better for them. But if you get a builder that has a 10-year warranty, that's your better bet.
Yep, that's absolutely right. So with the warranty that I like about the new builds is that if there's a squeaky cabinet
Yeah.
or a squeaky stairs or a unlatched door that's not closing properly, you write that warranty up and they should be out to your house and help you fix it. Yep.
Yeah, and again, that's what some people love about new homes is that warranty, that peace of mind, that guarantee, hey, if there's a problem. And it's very rare that a new home builder does not show up pretty quickly. Like most of them are that first year, it's pretty good, right? Number three.
Energy efficiency.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jaime?
So one of the things I see is definitely how they're building the homes is better. Now, I have buyers who will say, no, new homes are built cheap. They're not. Again, I'm in the industry. I've seen it from the ground up. I will say there are certain materials they use now that I'm not a fan of, or certain things that they do. But there's other things that are better, like the windows. The windows they use are better. The roofing, the radiant barrier. Spray foam versus bat insulation or sprayed insulation. So we can talk about that. I showed actually a house this weekend with Meritage, who is the one who does spray foam versus the other ones who don't. You've seen Meritage. How does that home compare to others?
You see a big difference because it's like a 10-degree difference or something like that from the outside to inside, and even from the attic to the inside of the living area. I mean, you feel the coolness, and then even in the winter, the heat stays into the house. There's no way for it to escape. So I like the foam insulation.
Yeah, one of the things it does is it's definitely a rodent barrier or pest control, right? Because animals like mice, they like to eat the insulation, but they don't on the foam insulation, right? The other thing is it gets into every nook and cranny, so it's going to seal it, and it's not going to fall. If you understand that, like, well, this wall here has insulation, and it's batting insulation or the old style insulation. With time, it begins to fall and compress. But when it's sprayed in, it's pretty much forever. And so what they do is you can actually see the difference, and it comes down to saving money on energy. Now, also, I did show a KB home, which is a Green Star rated. And what they do is they show you that they have actually somebody come in and run the utilities, and they can give you an average bill of how much money you're saving versus a resale home. I know that having an older home, I had a house on the east side, and during the summer, my electricity bill was like $900 because I had old windows, I had window units, now I was able to upgrade it, but again, all those things make a big difference. So when somebody tells me older is better, the quality, I do agree. Certain things in an older home, absolutely built solid. But the new home, definitely the energy efficiency, the ways they save you money, certain building practices are better.
Right.
So I think you can't beat that.
And what's another energy efficient product that you like in the homes?
So for me, again, I go back to the windows, the insulation, the radiant barrier, the roofs, the way they're doing them now, just the whole way the house is sealed. And the efficiency of the HVAC, all that matters. As a matter of fact, some homes even are required to have a fan that brings in outside air because homes are built so energy efficient that they found that they need to actually circulate the air from the outside.
I just love those smart houses where you could activate your garage door from your phone, turn on the lights from your phone, close a door from your phone, and having your home in your palm of your hand is a really fun thing to have.
I mean, the smart homes are really cool. I know in my house, again, everything's controlled from my phone, the door, the appliances. Yep. You can put them on a schedule, vacation, and then everything's, reading off, and it's telling you when it's time to change the filters, when it's time to do stuff. Yep. So, again, I think that newer homes and upgrading can definitely be a benefit, right?
For sure.
So now let's talk about, I want to buy a new home, but I want to customize. I want to have a certain flooring. What have we seen? And I would say this kind of goes back to when COVID happened. What kind of changes have we seen in builders allowing customization? and what's going on in the market with new homes.
So with the new homes, with the customization, it's an awesome thing to do, but sometimes it prolongs the process of buying your house. Sometimes it will change the floor plan of it. If you like light cabinets, maybe that floor plan doesn't offer it, right? So you would have to change up the whole thing. But for what I've been seeing is that customizing is taking longer than usual. So that's something to think about.
One thing that builders did is builders, when the crazy rush to buy a house, they said, well, look, a typical build is 5 to 6 months, right? And so they said, no, we're going to go ahead and just build what's called specs, where they just build it, they upgrade it as they see best. And again, this also goes back to the different builders. When you're dealing with more affordable builders, the changes or the customization, it's real simple because most people are looking at affordability. When you go to the higher end builders, those guys are going to have a lot of differences from one house to the next house because they allow a lot of times their sales guys to upgrade the home as they see that market is best suited, right? So one of the things that we're seeing is that there's less customization with homes. It's basically inventory versus to be built. Now, there are to be built builders where they want the client to have that experience of let's build from the ground up, let's pick the cabinets. They give you a base. They also tell you roughly about how much you can spend where you still stay on budget. But I think the problem with that is what we talked about. You don't know what's going to happen in 5 months, right? So what are some of the cons of doing a to be built?
If to be built, one, time. If you don't have the time, if your lease is up or you're in a time crunch, and the market, right? So locking in that rate, price changes, the up and downs of the market. So that's something to definitely look into.
I think the biggest is the incentives. Right now, new homes are being driven by incentives. And in 5 months, they don't know where the market's going to be. They don't know what the interest rate's going to be. So they can't give you as good of incentives. I'm going to give you a great example. So my clients looking at new homes, 2 of the 3 builders, if you bought inventory, you bought what's now, right? And they had a great selection, a lot of different options for them. They were going to give them an interest rate of about 4 to 4.5% interest rate. Okay, so they were buying down the rate. 2, they were going to pay all their closing costs. And so also all the appliances were included. Blinds, fridge, washer, dryer, stove, everything was included. Now they had to buy that house at that price, right? But it was all included. My client had to go ahead and say yes, and they could close in 30 days. When we went to the third builder, who, again, specializes in to-be-builts, one, they give you a base price.
Right.
But then you're like, oh, I like brick. I don't want just siding. Okay, went up. I want, actually, the nicer one went up again. I want the bigger yard, because here's a standard yard. Now, I want the corner lot. So they had to consider that into their budget. Then they're like, well, I like the kitchen, but I really don't want these brown cabinets. I want white cabinets. There was an upgrade. I don't want carpet. I want floor. Another upgrade. So what ends up happening is it's upgrading. And they were giving them $14,000 in concessions because they couldn't give them a rate lock. They couldn't tell them, hey, you know what? We're going to give you a 4% interest rate. So my client goes, puts it under contract. It goes from 330 to 360 after they've added all these upgrades. So my client thought they were getting a 330 house. Now it's 360. And guess what? They have to come up with their own closing costs. The interest rate's probably going to be 5.85, 6% versus 4.25. I think right now in today's market, to be built is not the best for everybody. I think there's a time and place.
Right.
So I think it goes back to the client. Each client is different. Yep. Every buyer out there is different. I think right now the market is demanding more affordability versus customization.
Right.
So I think that's something to take into consideration. And believe me, the upgrades that these homes have, they're plenty good. They're good enough. They look great. They show great. I wouldn't be so focused on like, well, I want this flooring. That's something you could probably upgrade later.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing you talked about, another con of doing to-be-builts, would be the process, right?
The process.
If it's raining, if there's delays, if lumber increases, price increases, all these things can contribute to your home not being ready on time. You have to time it perfectly, right, with the market. If you're selling your home and you're building a home. So those are certain things that can definitely, with a new home, especially a to-be-built, can be a con or can be something that you might want to think about when deciding that route.
And what we've seen it happen just during the winter storm, we thought it was going to take 3 days, and it took 2 weeks. Now, it took another 2-week process for the construction site to get open and ready to go. So that means that get pushed back. So we're in the mercy of Mother Nature. A lot of factors count in when we're building a custom home.
Right now, labor shortages, and so because there's labor shortages, prices increase. So there's a lot of factors that I think that you need to consider. A great example, Pablo.
Right.
When you moved here from California, you moved here because you knew our tacos were better and our food was better, but you started off with new homes.
Yep, we started off in new homes and we toured them. We loved them. It was great, but it just was too plain, right? Mm-hmm. Me and my wife we like colors. So we loved the floor plan, we loved the price, we loved the incentives, but it was just missing something. And then when we went to go see a resale home, we saw the opportunity, right? To one, make it our own, two, save a few bucks at the same time, and then upgrade what needed to be upgraded. So resale home, we upgraded the HVAC system. We upgraded the kitchen counters, and we also did the flooring. So at the same time, we saved money and we upgraded almost to a new build.
And you upgraded to the things you liked,
exactly,
to the style you liked, the colors you liked, and that's where I guess the resale versus new home. If you're a person who needs personalization, that's where resale. Now I go back to like me. I've never in my life owned a brand new home, but I have the ability, I have the crews, I have the finances to be able to customize my homes to the way I want them, where maybe the average first-time home buyer doesn't have that or doesn't have the time, doesn't want to be living in a construction site. Ask my wife what's like living in a construction site. It is 6 weeks of hell, okay? You can't use your kitchen. There's dust everywhere. Everybody's in a bad mood. You're over budget. Like I said, there are some pros and cons with whatever you buy, whether it's resale, whether it's brand new. I do say that right now, more than ever, I am pushing new.
For sure.
I'm pushing new because I believe affordability factor, which again, when you look at two homes, one house that was built 3 years ago in the same neighborhood and a brand new home, the brand new home is actually less expensive. Again, they're paying all the closing costs. They're buying down the rate. They're giving you a cheaper payment. Your payment is $2,500 for the brand new home, and all you need is $10,000 for your down payment. Or you get the resale, and you've got to come up with a down payment. You've got to come up with your closing costs, and your payment's $2,800, and it's used.
Right.
So I think right now, definitely brand new is winning. It really is. You need to understand new is winning, but there's a place for everybody. Mm-hmm. Some people, there's certain areas where there are no new homes. In Austin, we don't have any more land. So there is very few new home communities.
Right.
So for some people, they don't want to move to Elgin. They don't want to move to Gerald, right? Or Kyle. They want to stay in Austin. Well, then they're going to settle on a resale home, right? But for those who are willing to make the sacrifice, move out a little bit further and get more, I would say definitely new home is a great place to be.
And I totally agree. With the new homes, you have the incentives as far as in the community, more parks. They have. I seen communities with gyms.
Yeah.
With their
Yeah.
own local HEB. I
Yeah.
mean, down the street. I mean, it's just amazing what these new communities are doing, and the fun things that they're doing as well. I mean, I seen some with Wi-Fi
Yeah.
included in their.
They're making it more of a community versus just, hey, you live here. We take part in Easton Park a lot.
Yep.
So there's a community event, like an artisan fair? Whenever they have movie nights, right? They have all these things that make you feel part of a community, not just a neighborhood.
Right, exactly.
And so I do say that certain neighborhoods are getting right, certain builders. With that said, I want to relate an experience of a client who went to a new home, went to a builder without representation, without a realtor. They went under contract, they were ready to close, and then they backed out. And they said it didn't feel right, they didn't feel guided. They contacted me, and we were able to sit down and talk, and I was able to guide them through stuff, and their eyes were just wide open when they saw there's more possibilities. They were kind of stuck on an area because they just wanted to be in a certain area, but I was able to show them ones that were just maybe a couple miles away from where they needed to be and what they were able to get, talk about the incentives and what was best for them, because they were told that they should go with the zero down payment assistance. But what I was able to show them is they had the money for the down payment, but somebody advised them that they shouldn't use it, right?
Right.
What ends up happening is that zero down that was not free money, $10,000 is now going to cost them $50,000 in interest. And they're going to get a higher interest rate. It's going to cost them more money. So I was able to show them how to look at it in a better light,
Right.
and how they could still buy the home. Now, one of the things I tell people is this is the one thing builders don't want you to know and aren't going to tell you. The sales guy, and I love my sales guys, but this is what they won't tell you. You can make an offer on a new home. When you're working with an agent, when you're working with an experienced team, we will tell you what you need to hear. Do not be afraid about making an offer. Now, you've got to be smart about it, right? And that's why you need to have a real estate team on your side, a realtor who's going to tell you the ins and outs. We're also going to tell you what builders we like. Now, we all have personal preferences, right?
Yep.
But we're going to take into consideration your needs, right? Some people need affordability. Others can afford to pay for more of a custom home. I'm going to tell you about the builder's track record. I'm going to tell you about my experience with them, the quality of build. I'm not scared to tell you the truth. The salesperson there works for the company. They're going to tell you they're the best, they have the best warranty. I'm going to tell you the truth about every builder. But in the end, it's your decision as the client. And I just want to say that, I really believe that now is the time, if you're looking to get into the market, if you're looking for a new home, there's never been a time like the past couple of years, and especially now. Because remember, the minute the market picks up and we're seeing more buyer applications, we're seeing more people look at homes, guess what? The builders will start pulling the incentives because they do not have to incentivize you to come in anymore if we're in a good market. So buyers, listen to me. Set the appointment now. Give us a call. Let's sit down and see what new community, what builder works best for you. Pablo, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate, if you don't know, Pablo, like I said, he's on our team. Right now, I've got him on the project for Las Alturas. He's killing it. We've got some great land deals out there. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Share with your friends. Send it to that one person who's been on the fence, who's too scared to make the next move. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.